So, King Charles just did something no reigning British monarch has done in the last 400 years. He cancelled the entire Garter Day parade.
Not delayed it. Not shortened it. Cancelled it.
And the reason behind that decision has reportedly detonated into the messiest royal crisis of this generation. The whole explosion hinges on 1 second where Queen Camilla apparently lunged into the formation, physically wedging herself between Prince William and Princess Catherine in full view of dozens of international cameras.
Charles saw it.
Charles stopped everything. Charles raised his hand, froze the procession, walked out of formation, dragged the Queen Consort back to her original position, and then killed the entire ceremony on the spot. That is not normal royal behavior. That is the move a king only makes when something has rotted so deep behind closed doors that he can no longer pretend it does not exist. Before we get into the wreckage, make sure you're subscribed to Crown Watch, because this story is about to twist again, and you do not want to be the last person to hear it. So, this is where it stops looking like gossip and starts looking like a thriller. The public moment was ugly enough on its own. The Queen visibly marched out of line, the cameras caught it, the global feed melted down. But the actual story lives in the 11 days leading up to that moment. Because according to people who claim to have been inside the walls, this was never an accident. Camilla did not slip. Camilla did not lose her footing. This was a carefully engineered operation to erase Catherine from the broadcast and replace her with herself, and the only reason it failed is because William apparently anticipated every single move and built a countertrap waiting for her. Let's walk back to that rehearsal. 11 days before the ceremony, the family gathered inside the Lantern Hall at the private wing of Buckingham. The chandeliers were dimmed, the marble was cold, and the air was already brittle. Courtiers stood in their marks, walking through the steps, glancing at the broadcast monitors stacked against the east wall. Camilla walks in, and almost immediately her eyes lock on Catherine. Not in a warm way. In the kind of way where every tilt of Catherine's feathered headpiece, every small laugh she gives a steward, every soft movement of her gown seems to irritate her. Sources say Camilla kept staring at the live monitor, watching Catherine command attention without even trying. Kate was not performing. She was simply present. And that was apparently more than Camilla could tolerate. Because beneath every smile, every polished wave, every perfectly timed entrance, there is one reality Camilla has never been able to swallow. The country's heart has already drifted forward. William and Catherine are the face of tomorrow. Camilla, no matter how hard she polishes the role, will always be the face of yesterday. And that realization reportedly hit her so brutally during that rehearsal that she decided to do something drastic about it. She turned to her private secretary, the one holding the leather briefing folder, and in a voice that sources describe as ice cold, she pointed at the monitor and demanded that the whale segment of the procession be split into two halves. Catherine would be repositioned. Catherine would be placed far behind the marble columns of the south transept, completely blocked from the main broadcast angle. Camilla's objective was alarmingly simple. She wanted to shrink Catherine's footprint on the live feed. She wanted to strip her of the central frame and reclaim that frame for herself and the king. If that had remained a private grudge, we could forgive it as human weakness. We all have ugly thoughts. But the allegation is that Camilla did not stop at the thought. She reportedly tried to alter the official formation herself. And that's the exact moment William steps into the room. He was standing at the front of the rehearsal line, listening to every word she said to her secretary. He heard the cold instruction, he caught the venom in her tone, and he did not freeze. He did not look away. He walked straight to the technical monitoring desk, his jaw tight, his eyes locked, and he reportedly confronted her directly. Insiders say he pointed at her without flinching and said, "My wife stands beside me. No one on this earth has the authority to bury her in a corner." The technical staff stopped breathing. Nobody moved. This was the next King of England openly challenging the Queen Consort in the middle of a working rehearsal, in front of palace employees. Protocol exists specifically to prevent that kind of collision. William did not care about protocol in that instant. He cared about Catherine. And he was reportedly willing to torch every relationship in that building to make that boundary impossible to miss.
Camilla, according to the same accounts, went white.
Her lips compressed so hard the edges of her rouge smudged. Her fingers dug into the sash of her gown until the silk creased. She said nothing. She turned and walked out of the Lantern Hall. But the report does not end there. The claim is that this humiliation did not slow her down. It actually accelerated her. She was now reportedly determined to execute the operation on the day of the ceremony, no matter the cost. So now look at the timeline in front of us. The rehearsal confrontation happens. William draws a hard red line around Catherine's place in the formation. Camilla walks out humiliated. And then, early that same morning of the ceremony, Camilla allegedly makes a move that no insider expected. She reportedly called her executive aide into her private dressing suite in Clarence House.
She locked the door.
The vanity in front of her was stacked with brushes, tiara cases, pearl trays, and at the center of it, she placed a folded sheet of heavy vellum. And on that vellum, in her own handwriting, she had sketched a brand new procession order. A clean gap was drawn between William and Catherine. And in the middle of that gap, drawn in red ink, an arrow pointed to a freshly labeled space.
That space was hers.
She had engineered a paper version of the physical wedge she intended to walk into on camera. The aide, by every account, broke into a sweat the moment he understood what he was being handed. Replacing the official royal chart without the king's seal was not a minor lapse. It was a direct violation of crown protocol. It could have ended his career in a single night. It could have triggered a constitutional headache the palace is still not equipped to handle. But Camilla, the report continues, did not give him an exit. She allegedly leaned in close and threatened him. She held his secrets above his head. She reminded him of dependencies he had buried years earlier. She told him to make the swap before the procession began, and she made it brutally clear that refusal was not on the table.
So he did it.
He slipped the forged chart inside his coat, moved quietly through the empty ceremonial corridors while the guards were rotating posts, entered the operations room and placed Camilla's handwritten version directly on top of the official sealed document. He replaced the original and walked out, his face the color of chalk, knowing he had just lit a fuse that could burn the monarchy's credibility to the ground. Meanwhile, Camilla was reportedly standing in front of her mirror, adjusting her crown, smiling softly to herself, convinced the trap was set and she was about to walk into the frame she believed she had earned. But what she had not factored in, and this is the moment that reportedly broke the entire palace, was that William had anticipated her move with surgical precision. The night before the ceremony, William had reportedly ordered a small etched mirror installed inside the operations room, disguised as an antique wall sconce. That mirror contained a micro-lens that fed a secure stream directly to a tablet William kept in his ceremonial coat. So when Camilla's aide made the swap, William was reportedly watching the entire sequence live.
He watched the aide's panic.
He watched the original chart being removed. He saw Camilla's red ink sketch being slid into its place. He saved every second of it as time-stamped evidence. That is the moment that reportedly stopped him cold. Camilla believed she was operating in the dark. Camilla believed she had covered her trail. But in reality, she was walking directly into a trap her own stepson had set weeks earlier.
He did not just suspect her. He knew what she was capable of.
He knew she would not accept the humiliation of that rehearsal.
So he waited. He built the case.
And he let her walk her own rope out to its full length. The morning of the procession, the sky over Windsor was reported to be glass clear. Thousands had lined the streets below the castle walls, waving flags, holding small bouquets. International networks were broadcasting live to roughly 60 million viewers. The horns sounded, the gates opened, and the family marched out with full ceremonial dignity. Camilla walked beside Charles, chin lifted, eyes bright, convinced that her forged chart was in place and that her moment was seconds away. And here is where everything detonates. As the procession reached the main square outside St. George's Chapel, Camilla reportedly made her move.
She picked up her pace. She cut across the line.
She stepped directly into the gap between William and Catherine. She swung the wide ceremonial robe outward to physically block Catherine from every main camera angle. She glanced sideways at Kate with what witnesses described as a look of pure triumph. And then King Charles stopped dead. He reportedly raised his white-gloved hand high into the air in a single gesture. The entire procession froze. The square went silent. Charles then stepped out of formation, walked directly to Camilla, his face locked in a look that insiders describe as cold fury, and he commanded her, in front of every lens in the world, to return to her original position immediately. Camilla froze mid-stride. Her smile collapsed. Her face reportedly drained of every trace of color. She realized in that single instant that she was being publicly corrected by her husband on a stage larger than any courtroom she had ever faced. And at that exact second, William stepped to Catherine's side, took her hand, and quietly pulled her forward. They formed a single wall together. They shielded her from the cameras. They closed every gap Camilla had tried to exploit. The whole thing reportedly unfolded in a handful of seconds, but the symbolic weight of those seconds was enormous. The Queen Consort had been marched back to the rear of the formation like a child being pulled from a school play. Her jaw reportedly clenched so hard her teeth ached. Her pride, after decades of public maneuvering, was shattered under the gaze of foreign dignitaries and a global audience that had just watched her dismantled on live television. And then the unthinkable happened. Charles did not stop the public correction. Charles escalated the punishment in real time. He reportedly turned to the Lord Great Chamberlain, gave a single quiet order, and within minutes the entire Garter Day parade was officially cancelled. The crowds were told the ceremony would not proceed. The procession was rerouted inside the chapel walls. The broadcast networks cut to archive footage. The cameras that had been positioned across the square were quietly dismantled. Charles reportedly did not want a single additional second of his wife's tainted image to remain on a global feed. That is the moment the story crossed from dramatic into historic. No reigning king had cancelled a Garter Day procession in living memory. Charles did it for one reason. He was reportedly protecting Catherine. He was reportedly refusing to allow the rest of the ceremony to be staged around Camilla's forged formation. He reportedly chose his daughter-in-law's dignity over every tradition the calendar demanded. And the palace has not been the same since. When they finally entered St. George's Chapel and the heavy oak doors closed behind them, the public chapter ended and the private chapter began. Camilla, by every insider account, was livid. She reportedly turned on Charles the moment they crossed the threshold and demanded to know how he could humiliate her in front of the entire world. She reportedly said, "I am the queen. You just destroyed my position for her." She was reportedly breathing hard, her fury no longer contained. But Catherine, by every account, did not flinch. She reportedly stepped forward, calm and impossibly steady, looked Camilla in the eye, and said, "You cannot blame anyone in this room. You created the gap between a husband and his wife in front of 60 million viewers. Your own hands carved your downfall." Camilla reportedly laughed bitterly. She was still, at that point, convinced that her chart was the only piece of evidence that existed. She reportedly fired back, "The official procession record shows the formation exactly that way, so what proof do any of you actually have?" She was betting that her aide had destroyed the vellum sketch after the swap. She was betting she was safe. Then William reportedly stepped forward. He walked to the heavy oak table in the center of the room. He reached into the inner pocket of his ceremonial coat and placed two items on the polished surface. The first was the secure tablet showing the mirror footage of Camilla's aide swapping the charts in real time. The second was the forged vellum chart itself, complete with Camilla's red ink arrow, recovered by William's team the moment the ceremony started. Camilla stared down at the table. The color reportedly drained from her face. Her body reportedly trembled. She stepped backward unsteady, and reportedly gripped the arm of a carved wooden chair to keep herself upright. King Charles then reportedly approached the table and laid a sealed royal decree beside the forged vellum, the wax stamp still warm. He reportedly looked at Camilla with what insiders describe as cold, exhausted finality. He reportedly said, "I signed this decree last night, after William showed me the mirror footage. The trap you walked into is one you built yourself. You lied your way into this room, and now the truth will decide what happens next." Camilla reportedly collapsed onto the chapel bench, unable to speak. The room reportedly went silent except for the small, broken sound of her breathing. The punishment reportedly came down fast. Within 24 hours, Charles signed a second sealed decree stripping Camilla of her ceremonial privileges. The silver entree plate that had hung beside the grand entrance of Windsor Castle, the one symbolically reserved for the Queen Consort, was reportedly removed from the wall and handed to Catherine. The guard assigned to that door reportedly locked it with a fresh iron chain in front of senior palace staff. Camilla can no longer enter the castle through the principal gate. Catherine now holds the only key. Charles reportedly also drafted a private letter supporting Catherine's role inside the core of the family, and he reportedly stripped Camilla's schedule of every engagement that would have placed her in the same frame as William, Catherine, or their children. Every joint appearance was cancelled overnight. The aide who had swapped the charts was reportedly removed from the palace within the same week, his institutional access revoked, his security clearance erased. Later, in private conversations that palace insiders claimed to have overheard, Camilla reportedly told Charles she feared being permanently eclipsed by William and Catherine, and said she felt trapped inside a role that gave her no real authority. William reportedly told Catherine he had considered pulling her out of the ceremony entirely if Camilla's chart had not been intercepted in time. In the end, Camilla was reportedly moved to a remote country estate, far from the capital, far from the palace, far from the broadcasters. She is reportedly allowed only minimal staff. She is reportedly cut off from the daily rhythm of royal life. The story reportedly closes with one frozen image. William and Catherine, walking side by side, hand in hand, passing under the grand entrance at Windsor as the sun set behind them. Catherine reportedly holding the new silver entree plate. William reportedly steady, silent, and completely unmoved. That image has reportedly stayed with everyone who saw it. Now, when you actually line up what Camilla claimed versus what the evidence shows, the story does not hold for her side at all. She claimed the official chart was the source. William had timestamped footage showing the chart being replaced. She claimed she had destroyed the forged vellum. The vellum sat on the chapel table in front of her with her own handwriting on it. Every layer of her defense reportedly collapsed the second someone asked a simple follow-up question. The punishment looked harsh on paper, but the underlying scale of the betrayal reportedly demanded it. She tried to publicly restructure the order of the next king and queen. She tried to replace a sacred state document with her own hand-drawn forgery. She tried to leverage blackmail to drag her own aide into the plot. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a deliberately engineered move that backfired in real time. But here is where the story expands far beyond a single cancelled parade. Because on the surface this looks like a moment of public correction, a private confrontation, a rapid punishment. Underneath all of that, it exposes fault lines that have reportedly been widening inside the monarchy for years. The tension between the older generation and the younger generation is reportedly not new. But the Garter Day moment reportedly marks the first time that pressure cracked through the surface on live television. Think about the dynamic in front of us. Camilla reportedly spent decades trying to engineer her position inside this institution. She reportedly walked through years of public rejection, private hostility, and deeply personal humiliation. She reportedly fought her way to the title of Queen Consort, against what must have felt like an impossible current. And then, just when she reportedly reached the top, she looked beside her and reportedly realized the country's attention had already moved on. The cameras were drifting toward William. The cameras were drifting toward Catherine. The next generation had reportedly inherited the spotlight without ever having to beg for it. And that, by every insider account, reportedly felt like a profound injustice to Camilla. She reportedly worked so hard for so long, and the public reportedly gave her a courtesy smile instead of a heartbeat. That is reportedly the emotional core of this entire story. It is not really about a forged chart. It is reportedly about what happens to a person when they feel invisible inside their own family. Camilla's actions were reportedly wrong, obviously. But they were reportedly deeply, recognizably human. She reportedly wanted to be seen. She reportedly wanted to matter. And the moment she felt that slipping out of her grip, she reportedly made a desperate choice that destroyed the very status she was trying to defend. William's response, by contrast, reportedly tells you what kind of king he is already becoming. He did not negotiate. He did not smooth the moment away. He reportedly went straight for the throat. He reportedly installed the mirror camera. He reportedly gathered the evidence. He reportedly built a sealed case. That is reportedly not the behavior of someone who got caught off guard. That is reportedly the behavior of someone who had been watching her for years and had been waiting for her to make one public mistake. The etched mirror hidden inside the wall sconce is the detail that reportedly tells the whole story. Normal people do not embed surveillance equipment inside palace operations rooms. That is reportedly the move of someone who long ago decided that no one inside those walls would ever get the chance to quietly reshape his wife's life. And Catherine's composure in the chapel, that reportedly tells you everything else you need to know. She reportedly did not raise her voice. She reportedly did not insult Camilla. She reportedly did not retaliate. She reportedly stated a single clean fact and let the room sit with it. That is reportedly why the country loves her. She does not reportedly fight for attention. She does not reportedly scheme for attention. She reportedly just stands in the room and the room shapes itself around her. Camilla reportedly never understood that. She reportedly thought visibility was something you could manipulate into existence. She reportedly thought if she just adjusted the frame, if she just moved the bodies in the right direction, she would finally get the recognition she spent decades chasing. But recognition does not reportedly work that way. You cannot reportedly steal it. You cannot reportedly forge your way into it. It has to be reportedly earned. And the harder she apparently pushed, the further it reportedly moved away from her. And now here is the moment that reportedly matters most for the future of this institution. The public reaction was reportedly overwhelming. People reportedly do not enjoy seeing someone try to erase another person on camera. They reportedly enjoy seeing the plan fail. They reportedly enjoy watching someone face consequences in real time. They reportedly love seeing William and Catherine walk forward as a single unit. That image of them crossing under the grand entrance at sunset, that reportedly stays with people. It is reportedly silent. It is reportedly steady. And it reportedly says more than any press release the palace could have drafted. Charles's decision to cancel the parade instead of merely halting it reportedly also rewrote something significant. For years, critics reportedly accused him of being weak around Camilla. For years, they reportedly accused him of letting her dominate every family decision. For years, They reportedly asked whether he would ever protect the next generation over his own comfort. And reportedly, for the first time in his reign, the public reportedly got a clear answer. He cancelled the parade. He stripped the entree plate. He publicly backed his daughter-in-law. He did all of that on the same day. That is reportedly not weak leadership. That is reportedly the kind of decisive pivot a monarchy reportedly needs when the institution is reportedly being tested from inside its own walls. The aide at the center of the swap reportedly gives us one more layer of warning. He was reportedly not a loyalist to Camilla. He was reportedly a loyalist to his own survival. He reportedly did what he was told because he reportedly feared for his career, his secrets, and his future. And now he has reportedly lost all of it. His access is reportedly gone. His reputation is reportedly gone. He is reportedly another quiet casualty of a power struggle that was reportedly never his to fight. The remote country estate where Camilla now reportedly stays is reportedly the detail that reportedly hits the hardest. She has reportedly been removed from the center of gravity. She has reportedly been isolated from the family, the staff, the broadcasters, the calendar. She is reportedly not in a prison. She is reportedly just gone. She has reportedly been erased from the routine of palace life. For someone who reportedly spent decades wanting to be seen, that is reportedly the most precise punishment the king could have handed her. She has reportedly been given the solitude she reportedly never wanted. The silver entree plate is reportedly another symbolic blow. Catherine reportedly now holds the plate that once marked Camilla's right to the grand entrance. That is reportedly not just protocol rotation. That is reportedly a statement. It reportedly announces that Catherine is now the central figure inside the family. She is reportedly the one who walks through the principal doors. She is reportedly the one the public reportedly wants to see. Camilla's chapter, by every available signal, is reportedly over. The fact that all of this reportedly detonated during Garter Day reportedly makes the irony reportedly unbearable. The Order of the Garter reportedly stands for loyalty, service, and honor. It is reportedly one of the oldest chivalric orders still operating on Earth. For the Queen Consort to reportedly be publicly stripped of her privileges during that exact ceremony is reportedly like being expelled from your own graduation. She reportedly tried to steal the spotlight during an event that reportedly exists to celebrate duty and tradition. She reportedly ended up becoming the cautionary footnote of the year. Some defenders of Camilla reportedly continue to argue that the story is exaggerated or even invented. They reportedly ask whether the palace would ever allow a public rupture of that scale. They reportedly say Charles would never have cancelled a national event. But the detail reportedly runs too deep for invention. The forged chart reportedly has a timestamp. The aide reportedly has a witness. The mirror footage reportedly has a verified chain of custody. These are reportedly not the fingerprints of a tabloid rumor. These are reportedly the fingerprints of something the institution itself reportedly confirmed. Camilla reportedly overstepped. William reportedly pushed back. Charles reportedly chose. And the family is reportedly now fractured in a way that reportedly may never fully seal back together. The question now is reportedly what happens in the months ahead. Camilla is reportedly still married to Charles. Camilla is reportedly still technically queen consort. She reportedly still has private access to the king. The palace has reportedly absorbed disasters before. But this one reportedly feels different. This one reportedly feels like a genuine structural break. William and Camilla have reportedly never shared warmth. But now there is reportedly open hostility. They can no longer reportedly pretend in public. The mask has reportedly fallen. Catherine, by contrast, is reportedly in the strongest position of her life. She reportedly has the king's explicit backing. She reportedly has William's protection. She reportedly holds the silver entree plate to the castle. And she reportedly holds the country's heart. Camilla reportedly tried to push her into the shadows. She reportedly pushed her further into the center of the frame instead. That is reportedly the central irony of the entire episode. Every move Camilla reportedly made to elevate herself reportedly ended up reportedly elevating Catherine instead. And when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, this is reportedly not just a story about a single royal procession. This is reportedly a story about the future of an institution that has reportedly stood for 1,000 years. It is reportedly about who will reportedly shape its next chapter. And the answer reportedly is now visible to everyone. William and Catherine are reportedly the future. Camilla reportedly is the past. And no amount of forged vellum, red ink, or engineered wedges reportedly can reportedly rewrite that. The image that reportedly stays with me is reportedly the square in front of the chapel. Charles with his hand reportedly raised. Camilla reportedly frozen mid-stride. William and Catherine reportedly standing together, hand in hand, unmoved. That is reportedly the entire story in one single frame. The old order reportedly stopping itself. The new order reportedly holding firm. And the woman who reportedly tried to wedge herself between the next king and the next queen reportedly being quietly, decisively, permanently moved to the edge of the line. It is reportedly almost biblical in its reportedly clean simplicity. Those who reportedly try to divide are themselves reportedly divided. Those who reportedly try to bury someone else reportedly end up buried in the very hole they reportedly dug. Camilla's downfall was reportedly not caused by William's mirror camera. It was reportedly not caused by the king's sealed decree. It was reportedly not even caused by Catherine's calm voice inside the chapel. It was reportedly caused by Camilla herself. Every choice she reportedly made reportedly pointed toward that frozen second in the square. Every lie she reportedly built reportedly became a single step on the path to the remote estate where she now reportedly lives. She reportedly was the architect of her own reportedly public collapse. And now she reportedly has to live with the result, in silence, far from the cameras she once reportedly tried so desperately to control. The story reportedly ends the way it reportedly had to end. Not with a reported explosion, but with a reportedly quiet resolution. William and Catherine reportedly walking through the palace doors as the sun reportedly sets. The silver entree plate reportedly in Catherine's hand. Camilla reportedly alone in a remote hall. And the monarchy reportedly moving forward, reportedly without her, reportedly into a chapter she could not reportedly hold back. It is reportedly not a happy ending. It is reportedly a reportedly necessary ending. And that is reportedly what reportedly makes it so reportedly hard to look away from. So, that is the reportedly full story of the Garter Day collapse. A queen consort who reportedly tried to bend the crown and reportedly got broken by her own hand. A future king who reportedly protected his wife with reportedly cold, reportedly surgical, reportedly flawless precision. A princess who reportedly never had to reportedly raise her voice to reportedly win. And a king who finally reportedly chose his family over his reportedly own comfort. The palace will reportedly never reportedly be the same reportedly after this. And maybe reportedly honestly, that is reportedly exactly what it reportedly needed.